in its sixth season, HBO's hit comedy Veep. Have you seen it? Looks at the fallout from Selena Meyer's loss of the presidency. Actor Reid Scott plays former political aide Dan Egan. He's now one of the hosts of the fictitious CBS This Morning. He calls on his political contacts to build his reputation on TV and win the approval of his, how shall we call her, prickly co-host. Veep borrows our name and our graphics spot on.
I've got to ask what we're all thinking. The White House. So you're definitely not going to run again in 3 years.
I have no plans to run at this time.
And around in 5,
Stop it. It's not just let it happen.
3,
Stop
camera
it.
set.
You're a man. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. Joining me now is freshman Congressman Jonah Ryan of New Hampshire, who recently had a close shave with cancer.
Miss Bruckheimer and I did have a brief relationship when she was a much younger woman.
You did?
Thank you to you both. We'll be right back.
If you like, Jane, I could float your name out there for you.
Do you think I'd make a good judge?
You do like throwing books at people.
So until tomorrow, I'm Jane McCabe.
And I'm Danny Egan.
See you in the tomorrow.
And we're clear.
Denise!
Do me a favor.
Sure.
Wrap that wire around my neck until I'm dead.
Reid Scott, welcome to the real CBS This Morning. I love this show.
Is this the real?
This is the real. Does it look familiar? Listen, we were all feeling so flattered that you guys chose CBS to do the show, but it really sort of happened by mistake, did it not?
A little bit, yeah. It was a joke from last season where Dan, my character, sleeps with Amy's sister because when she tells him that she works at CVS, the pharmacy, he thinks she's saying CBS.
And then you said, "Can you get me a job there?"
Yeah, she said, "Oh yeah, sure. If you're willing to work nights." And he's like, "Oh my God, the late night desk shift, sure." And
You play such a jerk, Reid.
Thank you.
I mean, and I'm using the word jerk because I really want to use the A word, but we can't. You play such a jerk. What made people think you would be such a good character for that? How'd that happen?
Oh man. Well, my friend Jen Houston, who's a casting director here in New York, she was handling the show, and she called me up 7 years ago now, and she said, "Look, I got this great part. It's opposite Julie Louis-Dreyfus, but it's tricky because he's a jerk, but he needs to be likable. And Reid, you're the most likable jerk that I know."
But she didn't use the word jerk.
No, she didn't use the word jerk. She used the word that you can.
Yeah.
So what, any research you did to prepare for your anchor persona?
I did a little bit. One of the unique things about our show is that it's not a rip from the headline show. It's not necessarily, no one's supposed to be anyone necessarily. So I wanted to get familiar, but I didn't want to really, copy anybody or ape anybody. So.
But you watched our show?
Oh yeah. And I was surprised. I walked in day one of shooting, and the set was, I mean, it's remarkable. Our art department
so
did an
too.
incredible job.
Yeah.
Graphics, everything.
This is a satire.
Is it? It might be a documentary.
It might be. It's a comedy.
Yes.
In terms of, what are you trying to say about morning television?
Oh man. Well, one of the fun things that we discussed in the early days of Veep is that it's a workplace comedy. It really could be sort of any industry, and it was just sort of taking, making light of.
There was Mary Tyler Moore.
politics. Exactly. Yeah. And now we've gotten to the point, and it's kind of funny how we've sort of stayed away from it until now. There's so many things to say. I mean, the obvious connection between politics and the world of broadcast journalism, but we've never really.
And there was also a very good show on
Delved
HBO called Newsroom.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about your show is the Democrats think you're talking about them, the Republicans think you're talking about them.
That's right.
Has that been your experience when you go out in the world and you meet people? What do they say to you?
It's really strange. We all got invited to the White House Press Correspondents' Dinner, and we've had incredible access over the years to people on the Hill and the real movers and shakers.
For cameo roles?
And they all want cameo roles. We don't give them out. I remember the governor of Maryland really wanted to, or the former governor of Maryland really wanted to.
Because he was running for president.
Because he was running for president, and but he also wanted to come on. I think they considered it, and he wanted to come on and look cool.
This is Governor O'Malley.
No one looks cool on our show. O'Malley, yeah. But yeah, the people that we've met, whenever we meet a Republican, they say, "Oh, it's so refreshing to see a show go after those Democrats." And then we'll meet a Democrat, and they'll say, "Keep sticking it to the Republicans."
You remember a long time ago there was Laugh-In, and Richard Nixon went on and was laughed at. And the idea by Roger Ailes was to soften him up.
Oh, I would love it. I mean, I think we can soften our politicians up even more, but now I think they're afraid of us.
Talk about the effort sort of to win over your co-anchor, Jane McCabe.
First of all, Margaret Cohen, who plays Jane McCabe,
she's
is
great, yeah.
amazing.
I know.
And it's no small feat to jump into the show. We have a really weird process. We're all just bizarre maniacs at this point, so she did a great job jumping in. It's been really fun because he's a climber, so
Yes.
and he's a bit of a cad and a womanizer, so I think he looks at this as, a potential for both.
One of his great lines is, "I haven't slept with a woman over 30 since I was 14, and that's because I needed a grade." So he's a big old cat.
Yeah, he is.
But the writing, I think, too, Reid, is so good. It seems so spontaneous and off the cuff.
Well, that sort of goes back
Do
to...
you rehearse a lot?
We do, which is unusual for a television show. Yeah, from our early days, we would actually get scripts sometimes 4 or 5 episodes in advance, which never happens in TV. And we would be sequestered in London. Our original showrunner and our writers were all British, so we'd be there and we would rehearse for weeks at a time, always encouraged to improvise. And the writers would then go and rewrite the scripts to
with your
incorporate
improvs.
our improv, exactly. And
Good.
so through this sort of distillation process, it gave it this very natural feel. It's been really fun.
Well,
It's
Reid
really
Scott,
good.
Fun to have you here.
Thank you very much.
It may have been a mistake starting with CBS, but it gives us such a kick to watch.
Oh, great.
You're
Thanks.
fun to watch.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
Thanks, Reid. Great.
Thank you.